Have you ever noticed how the quietest people often have the most to say? It's a funny thing, isn't it? We're so used to associating strength with loudness, with being the most prominent voice in the room. But what if true power lies not in roaring, but in listening? Today, we're diving into a story that explores just that. It's a timeless tale about a mighty king, a humble river, and a lesson that changed an entire kingdom. This is the story of the lion and the singing river. In a vast and sun-drenched land, there lived a lion. He wasn't just any lion. He was the king of all beasts, the ruler of every rock, tree, and blade of grass. His mane was like a fiery crown, and his roar could make the mountains themselves tremble. Every creature knew his power. When he walked, the ground seemed to hold its breath. When he roared, silence fell across the savannah. This lion feared nothing and no one. He believed his strength was absolute, his voice the only one that mattered. His pride was as vast as his kingdom, and he saw no reason to think otherwise. After all, who could possibly challenge him? The days were filled with the lion's declarations and commands. His roar was the law. If a gazelle strayed too far, a roar sent it scurrying back. If hyenas quarreled too loudly, a single booming roar brought instant peace. The lion believed his roar was the source of order, the very thing that held his kingdom together. He loved the feeling of power that came with it, the way every living thing reacted to his voice. He would often climb to the highest point of his territory, look out over the sprawling plains, and let out a roar not for any particular reason, but simply to remind the world and himself who was in charge. His voice was his identity, his signature of dominance. But one evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and purple, something different happened. The world grew quiet, as it always did when night began to fall. But through the stillness, a new sound reached the lion's ears. It was soft, gentle, and continuous, a melody that seemed to weave itself into the fabric of the twilight. It was the river flowing on its timeless journey, singing a soft, murmuring song. The lion tilted his head, his ears twitching. He had heard the river before, of course, but never like this. In the quiet of the evening, its song seemed louder, more present. And to the proud lion, it sounded like a challenge. "Who dares," he thought, his brow furrowing, "who dares to sing in my kingdom without my permission? And who dares to sing so loud when I am silent?" A flicker of anger ignited within him. This was his land, his domain. Every sound should be by his decree. The river's gentle song, in his mind, was an act of defiance. He couldn't stand it. His pride, so easily wounded, demanded that he assert his authority. He rose to his feet, his muscles tensing. "I will show this singer what a real voice sounds like," he growled to himself, his eyes fixed on the shimmering path of the water in the distance. He was determined to silence this impudent melody and reclaim his place as the one and only voice of the land. Driven by his wounded pride, the lion stormed towards the riverbank. The closer he got, the clearer the river's song became. It wasn't a song of challenge, but one of peace, a constant, gentle hum of water flowing over smooth stones and around ancient roots. But the lion was in no mood to appreciate its beauty. He saw only a rival. He stood at the water's edge, took a deep, powerful breath that filled his massive lungs, and unleashed the mightiest roar he could muster. The sound exploded from him, a wave of pure force that shook the very ground he stood on. Trees trembled, and small animals scurried for cover. Surely, this would drown out the river's insignificant tune, but a strange thing happened. His mighty roar, the sound that could command an entire savanna, traveled across the water, hit the cliffs on the other side, and echoed back. But it sounded different. It was weaker, hollow, a mere ghost of its original power. The river, however, did not stop. Its song continued, unchanged, flowing around his roar as if it were just another stone in its path. The lion roared again, even louder this time, putting every ounce of his strength into it. Again, the echo returned, a faint and mocking reply. The river's soft melody, in its persistence, seemed to absorb his anger, its gentle, continuous flow making his explosive roars seem temporary and insignificant. He was the mighty king, yet he could not silence a simple stream of water. Frustration and confusion began to gnaw at him. Just as the lion was about to roar for a third time, a small, croaking laugh came from a nearby lily pad. Hey, hey, hey! The lion whipped his head around, his eyes narrowing. There, perched calmly, was an old frog, its wrinkled green skin glistening in the moonlight. The frog's eyes twinkled with an ancient wisdom. Trying to outsing the river, are we, your majesty? The frog croaked, his voice surprisingly steady in the presence of the furious king. The lion let out a low growl. You find this amusing, little one? This river mocks me. It sings without my leave. The old frog blinked slowly. Oh, but you misunderstand, he said gently. The river's song is not one of pride. It doesn't sing to be heard above all others. It sings because that is its nature. Its song is not for you, or for me, or for anyone to command. It is a song of peace, of constancy. It speaks of a strength that doesn't need to shout. The frog looked from the fuming lion to the ever-flowing water. You try to defeat it with a roar, a burst of anger. But the river's strength is in its endless flow, its quiet persistence. It yields, it moves around obstacles, and in doing so, it carves the very canyons you stand in. That is a power your roar can never match. The lion fell silent. He looked at the frog, then back at the river. The frog's words, though simple, struck a chord deep within him. He had always seen strength as a force to be exerted, a loud declaration of power. The idea of quiet, persistent strength was entirely new to him. He sat down by the riverbank, his anger slowly subsiding, replaced by a profound curiosity. He closed his eyes and, for the first time in his life, he truly listened. He didn't listen for a challenge or for a sound to conquer. He just listened. He heard the gentle melody of the water, the whisper of the wind in the reeds, the distant chirp of crickets. The world was full of songs, and he had been too busy roaring to hear any of them. As he sat there, a sense of calm washed over him, much like the river itself. He realized the frog was right. The river's power wasn't in its volume. It was in its endurance. It didn't fight the rocks. It flowed around them, slowly and surely wearing them down over centuries. It was a power that didn't need to announce itself. It just was. The lion understood that his roars, as fearsome as they were fleeting moments of anger. They created fear, not respect. The river, with its quiet song, nurtured life. It gave drink to the thirsty and a home to creatures like the wise old frog. In its gentle strength, there was creation, not just domination. A profound shift happened within the great lion. The king who ruled by fear began to see the wisdom in ruling with peace. From that day forward, the lion was a changed king. He still possessed his mighty roar, but he used it sparingly. He no longer felt the need to prove his strength at every turn. Instead, he learned to listen. He listened to the whisper of the wind, the rustle of the leaves, and the songs of the smallest birds. He listened to the concerns of the other animals in his kingdom. He ruled not with thunderous commands, but with quiet understanding and calm authority. His kingdom became a more peaceful place. The other animals no longer lived in constant fear of his temper, but respected his newfound wisdom. The lion, the mighty king of the savannah, had learned the most important lesson of all from the singing river and a humble frog. That true strength is not about how loud you can roar, but about how well you can listen. The greatest power lies not in prideful noise, but in quiet, humble strength. Isn't that a beautiful lesson? It reminds us that in our own lives, whether we're leading a team, raising a family, or just navigating our daily interactions, there's immense power in pausing our own roaring and simply listening. Strength isn't always about being the loudest or the most forceful. Sometimes it's about the quiet confidence to listen, to understand, and to lead with peace instead of pride. Thank you so much for joining me for this story today. If it resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tales that make us think. What did you take away from the lion's journey? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, remember to listen for the quiet songs around you.